Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another week, another edition of the Rare Book Cafe, the coffee break edition. Nothing like a good cup of Joe to get the day started. And my co-host, Linn.
There, whatever. Yeah, there it is. No, actually, this is Diet Coke.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
drink a lot of
we-
that south of the Mason-Dixon line.
This,
Yeah, we believe that.
No, well,
Who
no,
is that?
calm
Richard
down,
Mori, our road warrior. Richard, you look too stable to be at road warrioring today.
Well, I spent a week on the road last week, so I'm still kind of catching up on my sleep.
Now, is that your shop? I'm not sure we've ever had you call in from your shop before.
Actually, this is my warehouse.
Or your warehouse. Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of my little nook in the corner, and my reference books behind me and around me, and the
But
pile of
30,000
stuff.
in 30,000 volumes?
I wish it were that low.
Oh, my goodness.
You don't want to know it.
Oh, right. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. Lee, what have you been up to?
looking at some new material, trying to decide if I'm going to buy some things.
A private collector?
Huh?
A private collector?
Yeah. An inherited collection from his father. So we'll see.
A lot of that going on.
Some of this, and he's presented it as if he didn't know anything about it, but he seems to know more and more the further we get into this. So I'm not sure. We'll see.
Well, we're all seeing a lot of second and third generation collections coming on the market nowadays, and we talk to potential clients, and the first thing out of my mouth is condition. I mean, there is so much material coming on the market. You got to have the best of the best to be competitive with it.
And all those dust jackets that went right in the trash can.
Yeah, exactly. Frayed corners, all those little things make a big difference on whether you're going to spend your own money to buy somebody else's, second class material.
Well, then people look things up on the internet and choose the highest price that anything is offered for and think that's what theirs is worth.
Yeah. Only 3 books sell on the internet: the best book, the cheapest book, and the only book.
Yeah.
All right, Richard, we're going to turn it right over to you. Why don't you share with us what you have? We're going to talk a little bit about games, Richard. I remember about 2 years ago, I bought from you an old board game, West Point, because I am an alumni, and I thought it was the coolest thing, and I actually sold it for quite a profit. So what other kinds of games do you have to share with us?
Oh, very good.
There were lots of pieces to it, but it was in pretty good condition.
There we go, on the price thing again. So, well, in the book trade, books cover a what? Yeah, in the book trade, there are lots of different connections with titles and stuff. Did I miss the joke? No. So I want to start off with Little Red Riding Hood. So if we get this, so this game is actually a McLaughlin game, copyrighted 1895. There we go. And one is the wolf and one is Red Riding Hood, and they run around the board, and that's. But these are the games of the day, and of course they often have a book connection. Another one, an example. This is one I just picked up at Brimfield also. This is called the improved historical cards. So they had cards, and each card had some information on it, and I think you would be asked a question off the card by your opponent, and then you would have to give the right answer.
What do you think, in circa 1950s?
Well, actually, this is 1884.
1884.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are the old historical games. I really found that. And of course, the difficulty with the games is to find all the pieces, especially with old games. I mean, you know what it's like with new games. Well, with old games, it's even more difficult. And all the pieces that are in these games I'm showing you. This is another one. This is on yacht racing. This is circa 1903.
I had no idea that they were such popularity back then.
Oh yeah, and this is a McLaughlin. Because McLaughlin did a lot of children's books as well. And this is the game board itself on this side. And again, very simple, 2 pieces and a spinner. So these games are very simple, but finding the contents is really hard. But this is the one I really, really like, Ed, and I think you're going to fall in love with this one.
Uh-oh. Get out the checkbook.
Yeah, this one's going to be pricey. This is called
Look at the condition on this. Oh my goodness.
Aeroplane Derby. The box is in perfect condition.
Is that the original wrapper?
I wrap them myself.
Okay.
But here's the game board itself. The 4 airplanes are here, and the die is here, and you would move your planes around the board. But this was in such perfect condition, I couldn't refuse it. And this is circa about 1925, 1930 probably. And aeroplanes are really just kind of come into fashion at this point. And it's spectacular. Just
What a
absolutely.
great find.
So,
Now, did any of these have books with them? Were they, other than Little Red Riding Hood, were any of them other book tie-ins
no, the Little Red Riding
that you're aware of?
and the historical cards, of course, has a history tie-in.
Can you
but,
give us an example of one of the questions on the historical one?
Sure. So here's some of the cards. I'll read. So this was William Harrison, 9th president, died 1 month after his inauguration as president. Lord Cabinet candidate, victor at Tippecanoe in the Thames, and a leading officer of the War of 1812. So here's, let's see, John Calhoun, Franklin Pierce, a good New Hampshire boy, 14th president from 1853 to 57, defeated General Scott for the presidency. First treaty with Japan was made under him, and he was responsible for the Kansas-Nebraska bill was passed during his administration. So,
Wow.
yeah, and things. And here's something about St. Augustine, founded by the Spaniards in 1565, the oldest town in the United States. So there were teaching tools, of course, at the time. And the lithographs. I mean, this is a chromolithography.
Beautiful.
You guys, knows what the significance of chromolithography.
It started coming out in the 1870s.
Yeah, this is just absolutely gorgeous, incredible stuff, beautiful graphics, and these were meant for kids. They figured out McLaughlin was really smart in being able to mass produce material inexpensively, and thus they made a killing in the market, literally.
Richard, I heard you say while you were introducing your games, you said, "Oh, I picked this one up at Brimfield." Did you get anything else from Brimfield? You introduced the show a couple of weeks ago, and find any other treasures there?
Well, I did find a couple of other books specifically. So I've been on. I have what I call the greatest location in Brimfield. I'm on a porch of the antique center in the middle of town, and people bring me things because I've been there on that porch 20 years. I've been doing Brimfield 35. So this is the title of this book is History of the History and Discovery of America. It's printed in Boston, 1835, by Henry Trumbull. It's truthfully in disassembled condition. This was the frontis, a 3-page fold-out. Can you see that pretty clearly?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, beautifully hand-colored. The book's not in great condition, but I didn't pay a lot for it. But this is a really early American history book, and I'm looking forward to doing some more research on it. I haven't had a chance yet to do a lot, but it covers the Indian Wars, which is really significant because here in New England, here's a nice, again, a hand-colored
that's a great find. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So,
Richard, I can't get the vision out of my mind of you standing on the porch in a procession, a pilgrimage of New England citizens come bearing gifts, come bearing trade to to make trade with the great white wampum on the porch of Brimfield.
Actually, that's almost accurate, Ed.
Or to get out
What
of
a-
the sun and the rain. That
Well,
too.
What a vision that is.
it's a 12-foot wide, 100-foot long porch, and trust me, it rained last week, and the porch would fill up.
Yeah.
So, but here was what I think is really probably one of my most wonderful finds. I don't think it's going to be the most valuable find I've ever had at Brimfield, but I think it's one of the most unique finds I will ever have at Brimfield. This is an orderly book dated 1795 is the first date, going through 1820. It's the original book of the 1st Troop Cavalry, 2nd Regiment, 1st Brigade, 3rd Division. And I'm sure you could help us understand why they have all those different names and numbers there. And it's signed, the first inscription is by Benjamin Lord, Orderly Sergeant. And I believe they call this a roll call book. And it's out of Vermont. And it runs for about 25 years, fully in hand.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it tells us.
That's mid four figures.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's a mid four figure item.
Well,
Or low four figures.
I hope you're right.
Oh, I think so.
I'll
I'll give you $1,000 for it today.
You are so tempting.
I'm serious.
Yeah, I know you are. It's a wonderful piece. I'm actually going to be in Bennington, Vermont at a book show in August 13th, and I promised I would bring it there to show somebody.
All right. Well, they don't buy it. You give me a call back.
I will.
Very interesting.
Okay, it's a wonderful piece. Of course, it's one of a kind. You can't find another one anyplace. It certainly probably should be institutional bound. There are a
Well,
couple.
so should you.
I probably am, but in fact, there are a couple lay-in examples of the roll call sheets also, dated and signed. It gives a lot of names, genealogy. I mean, so there's wonderful, wonderful information in this
Very
book.
nice.
And I'm excited. I've had a chance to sit down with it a little bit. I've started reading it, but those are the things that show up at Brimfield. We never know what's going to be there.
Very nice piece. Good.
And it can be exciting. I mean, I've had great finds at Brimfield over the years. I found the Dolly Alice there in the box one time 20 years ago, which is an incredibly great piece. And I've found signed Robert Frost there,
Sure.
that I paid $10
His home was right up the
for.
road.
Yeah. So, these are the things we find at Brimfield. But what I got to show you now, Ed.
All right. We're going to wrap up after this one.
Yep. Do you know what this is?
Hold on a second. Let me put on my glasses. Oh, I know what. Is
You
that?
know what this is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
That is the first printed pamphlet in America, a replication of the first printed pamphlet in America of the great scam of Nevada or Utah. What was his name?
Oh, actually, no. This precedes it. Actually.
Oh,
This
really?
is
What is it then?
Yeah. This is a horn book.
Horn book.
You are right.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
chat book, but I knew that wasn't
Yeah.
right.
Right. This is what launches the chat books, actually, eventually. But in fact, the first, if we don't count, I mean, the Indian Bible out of Boston, which I'm going to forget the name of it, it's actually the first published book in the New Colonies. But this is considered the first educational book published in the United States. And unfortunately, it is a replica. Had I have an original I would be in the Bahamas or South Seas someplace talking to you because it's extremely valuable in the original form. But this is.
I thought it was oath of. I thought that was oath of a free man, but
Oh, right. Yes, which is actually a very important piece. So I wanted to use that as the introduction to what really became one of the most important books published in the United States early on. And this is the New England Primer. I have examples of later reprints, and the earliest of them, published in the 1600s, are very scarce and hard to find. But this is a really good example. This was the school book of choice, all from New England in the early colony days. They're published in different places over the years. They have lots of little, I don't know if this is going to show up, there's usually lots of little engravings inside them. And these were meant to teach children their ABCs and their words. I'm looking for more examples of the engravings. There's the title page. This is a later printing. I have a number of different examples. There's this one here. This is a hardboard cover, and this is an earlier one with a more rustic cover.
sure, yeah.
So here's a question for you, Ed. I think you'll know the answer to this. So why do we call the covers boards?
Well, because that's what they are. They're boards with either cloth or leather or paper over them.
Actually, the original was wood. Here's an example.
Oh, okay.
The
Sure.
original covers were wood.
We actually saw an example of that on another show with Mary Kay of a 15th century book with literal wood covers.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and I have some shape note songbooks that are not that old. They're from the 1800s, but they have wood covers.
Right. That's the reason we use the word board today. So I have chapbooks, but we can save those for another time too.
Well, one thing we never are when you're around is bored.
How quick do you come up with these? You should write. You know, they're looking for writers on some of the shows right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Hey, with respect to that, I want to say one more thing before we log off here. Is I heard, I think it was Harrison Ford in an interview saying that the writers are the most important people in this industry, and we would have no entertainment industry without the writers. And that's true in
Yeah,
the
it
book
is.
world. We would be nowhere without the authors.
Right.
So we need to get some more authors on the shows. Authors, we love you. And if you're an author writing for a Hollywood production, we love you even more.
Well, my son writes for a TV production company, but they do primarily lower budget,
Okay.
semi-reality things. And people in that field have never been allowed to join the Writers Guild. And so he's not in the Writers Guild. So he is not, their company actually, they probably should be out supporting these writers, but they are actually picking up work because their services are now in more demand. Because
Well, if we're not there out on the streets picketing with them, they're certainly in our hearts and we're cheering them on.
they are,
You know, one thing we love doing on this show is promoting book fairs. We've had a series of them here in Portland and Minneapolis and Florida, and we've got one coming up in Tennessee. Is that right, Lee, Richard? We've got one coming up in New England. Tell us all about it.
Well, you know, I do about 40 shows a year, the antique shows and book shows. So I'm that's the reason why I'm called the Road Warrior. But this is a show I'm actually going to be one of the promoters for. Dwayne Stevens and myself from Wiggins Fine Books in Massachusetts, and I are going to be promoting what we call the Shadow Show in Boston, October 28th. We're just putting the information out. We haven't even sent our emails out. They're going out this week. But so you've got the first piece of news on this. If dealers are interested in signing up, they just need to contact me.
Get that down in the bottom right-hand corner. Promotions by MW, Richard, Mori, and Wiggins Fine Books.
Yeah. Phone number's on the card as well. You can call us, and we're looking to hope that the public's going to love this show. It's at the back door of the Heinz Auditorium where the Boston ABAA show has been for almost like 40 years, and it is going to be phenomenal.
You know, it's great to resurrect that name, the Shadow Show, the Shadow Fair. I mean, it kind of went into disusage during COVID when there were no fairs at all. And I think for economic reasons, they never really revived shadow fairs accompanying the major fairs. And it's just starting up again. And it's glad to have you resurrecting that.
Oh,
And
we are pleased.
when did you say this?
October 28th. It's a Saturday, one-day show. Load-in is on Friday. If you'd like to come up, Lee, we're going to sell it by the table, by the half booth, and by the booth.
Oh gosh, that would be so much fun. I don't know whether I could get up there for a one-day show.
And you know, the Boston ABA show is right there. You can visit your friends there and buy there.
Oh, that's going to be a wild weekend.
Yeah.
It's I call it the best weekend of the year when the Boston ABA show and the Shadow Show happen together in Boston. It's the best book weekend of the year.
If I could put enough stuff for one table together that could be shipped so I could fly, I'm not driving to Boston.
Well, and I'll even offer this. You can ship it to me so that you don't have to pay the hotel fee, and we'll make sure it gets back to you.
Well, let me think about that. I'll have to think about that.
That's wheeling and dealing like anybody who runs a production company.
Well,
Thank you for sharing that, Richard.
Yeah.
Did you say you wanted to sign up, Ed? Did I hear that?
Oh, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be overseas at that time.
Oh,
I'll be with you in spirit.
okay.
All right, everybody. The Shadow Fair in Boston, October 28th.
Yes.
You'll hear about it again on our presentations. All right, everybody. That's about it for another show, the Rare Book Cafe Coffee Break Edition. You can hear us on Facebook. You can hear us on YouTube. You can find us conveniently on Instagram with one click of the thumb. And call in, dial in, send your comments. Let us know what you'd like to hear more of. Who you'd like to see less of? Just kidding. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.